Well, Jamsters. The drama is over. Or is it just beginning? The Phoenix Suns have matched the offer put forth by the Indiana Pacers for a max contract for one DeAndre Ayton. 4 years, $133 million. He is now going to be a part of our lives, Matthew, for at least the next 6 months, right?
Yeah. And I was talking about how awkward would that be for 6 months and we know we're gonna trade him. It'd be so weird. So let's see. We got him back and everyone seems happy, but let's see what happens this year. Because right now it's kind of off to a rocky start right now. Just going into next year, having him back, people thinking that he might be traded January 15th. That's just kind of weird.
Yeah, the possibility that DeAndre Ayton could be traded, obviously, based on the knowledge that I've acquired. Thank you, Dave King from Bright Side of the Sun, the best place to get any of that information. He really kind of broke it down. DeAndre Ayton could be traded effective January 15th, but he would have to approve of said trade. It would have to be a full season until we could actually trade DeAndre Ayton. But I think we're looking at perhaps the wrong side of this. We should be looking at the side that's like, hey, we got DA back. And those are things that we're going to explore on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. So welcome, Jamsters, and thank you for joining us mid-July podcasting. It's nothing quite like it. It's 107 degrees outside. It's muggy. It's gross. And we're inside in some air conditioning, drinking beers, talking about the Phoenix Suns. I wouldn't have it any other way, my friend. So a reminder to everybody, if you're watching, please subscribe, rate, and review. Hit that thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review there as well. If it's on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. Type in whatever you want. We'll read it right here on the pod. And if you're on Spotify, simply to give us those 5 stars. Matthew, I saw that you did a jort yesterday. You went live by yourself.
Yeah.
You wanted to drink some Four Peaks Suns brew.
I did. Yes.
Are you doing it again tonight?
I'm going to do it. It was so good. It's been a while since I had a beer, but last night when I had that one, it felt good. Sometimes
it feels so good when it hits you.
Sometimes you just need a beer, and tonight I'm going to do it again. So,
well, I'm rocking an 805 tonight. You got a
backwards
Four Peaks Suns brew. So pop them if you got them, Suns fans. Let's talk about these summer Suns and everything that's kind of going on in the world of Phoenix. So it would probably only be appropriate to talk about the man who everybody has been talking about now for the past 24 hours, and that is DeAndre Ayton.
Ayton watch.
That's right, Jamsters. You'll continue to see that drop for who knows how much longer. Matthew, it's been 24 hours now since DeAndre Ayton signed, or since the Suns matched the offer sheet. So, I know you did your jam session short. You've had a day to process it. What are your thoughts right now? How are you feeling about this whole where we are at in the DeAndre Ayton story?
Well, let's just throw that pod out yesterday. It was just a quick little short. It's funny because I just got off of work. Well, I just clocked out, and it just happened to be the time where DA did sign. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do one. But I want to just say everything almost again, and just don't listen to the last pod. It's interesting because I feel like we needed to have him back. It seemed like chaos with him leaving us, going to Indiana. It just seemed like the smart move for them to sign him and re-sign him. And I was going to ask you too, like after I give my thoughts, the amount of money that he actually was signed for, the matching of the 133 for 4 years, does that save the Suns any money if they were actually to re-sign him last year for the 4 year? I know they wanted to do the 4 year, but he wanted the 5 year. Does it save them any money at all? Because I actually just thought about that and just wanted to ask you that.
Well, what it does is it allows the Suns roster flexibility, and that's what James Jones wanted. And it's interesting because the whole rookie designation thing, right? Like no one, even Bill Simmons, didn't know about this rookie designation rule, which essentially says you can't have two guys who are on a rookie max deal. And we've heard that phrase since the entire Kevin Durant saga has begun, because Devin Booker could not be a part of a trade to the Brooklyn Nets because he is on a rookie max designation deal. And you can't trade him to the Nets where they already have one member of their team that has a rookie designation deal in Ben Simmons. So the reason that James Jones was playing chess while everyone was playing checkers, if you will, in not offering that rookie max contract to DeAndre Ayton, because you can have two guys on the same team who have a rookie designation if it comes from the same team, but you can't trade them. So it doesn't necessarily save the Suns any money. He's still going to make about $33 million a year, which is max contract money. But what it does is it's not a rookie designation max deal. It's not for that fifth year. So what that does is that allows the Suns roster flexibility. Let's say that next year, they want to, or not next year, but the following year, once Devin Booker's kind of off of his rookie designation deal and he's going into that super max, making a shit ton of money deal, right? Let's say that at that point, there's a player who's still on a rookie max deal who is ready to kind of move on from wherever they're at. You can bring them to Phoenix now because DA's not on a rookie designation deal. Devin Booker's past that deal, and it creates that opportunity. So it's not something that necessarily makes itself an ideal situation right now, but in the long term, it's an ideal move by James Jones, and it's very cerebral that he made that move. So he got what he wanted. He wanted DeAndre Ayton last year to sign a 3 to 4 year deal on for max money, but 3 to 4 deals or 3 to 4 years. Once he said, no, we're not bringing you back on a rookie max, then the clock essentially started. It says, hey, the market will dictate what you're worth. And the Indiana Pacers were the team that says, okay, we believe, and all it takes is one team to say that, to dictate what that market is, right? And Indiana said, you know what? In our opinion, you're a max guy. So here's 4 years, 133. And the reporting is that the Suns matched that deal in 3 minutes. There was no sign and taint.
I saw 90 seconds, actually. But
minute and a half.
Well,
there you go. So it's pretty damn close, though, right? Like, right there, the Suns were like, no, we knew that we wanted to keep DA. We were going to allow the market to dictate what his value was. The market dictated as such. So, boom, we'll bring him back. But again, from a roster construction standpoint, it does a really good job of keeping it flexible as possible, not for 2022/23, but 2 years down the line, if and when they want to bring in a third, a tertiary superstar around this core that it seems they are committed to keep together.
Yeah, it's crazy how people worry so much. I mean, everyone, even with their own lives, worry about everything in the future that they can't control. But when you're on Twitter, you're waiting for the Suns to do something because they really haven't done anything, right?
Yeah.
They think DA's just going to walk. They think that he's going to walk for nothing. We're not going to get anybody back. Even Miles Turner just as something that might come back from the Pacers. Like, that's not exciting at all. If we were to give up DA and he's playing where there was sticks, that's very disappointing for me because I even think the whole sticks thing, like, that's kind of underrated, I feel like, right now, where he might turn into something that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of just let him go for Torrey Craig, who might not even make it through all of next year. So if he was on that team with Torrey Craig and they were not winning, but they were actually improving, that would be very, very hard to watch. And I don't really care, even with the KD thing, like the amount of picks we give up, because you talked about these players on like a max contract, their rookie max. Like, a lot of these players now, like, we see it with Kevin Durant, but everybody wants out of every situation. So the amount of picks the Suns have to give up, if they have to give up, like, let's just say 6 or 7, like, first round picks, could you imagine that? But then also think about it. If the Suns are a destination and players get drafted into shitty organizations, 4 years later, 5 years later, the Suns could pick them up. You know what I mean? So
yes,
I just think right now the Suns are on a good track to really still get KD, because I know if we're the number one option. But I think that the amount of money they're going to go over in luxury tax, which might be $100 million, which is insane, just for the 1 year. It's so worth it, and it makes it even more worth it with DA still on this team. I know I give him a lot of crap, and we always go through the ups and downs with him, but it makes it worth it to see how he develops within this organization. We don't want him to leave and be something great, right? That would be the hardest thing to watch. So that's why I'm glad he can come back, and we still have the option to get KD. And it just sounds like the Suns are ready to spend a lot of money. So I'm excited about that.
Well, and we'll talk KD momentarily, but I think that this is the first building block, if you will, or erector thingy that shows that, Bob Sarver and James Jones are actually willing to put forth a roster that's going to go into the luxury tax because they believe that the championship window is now. And for fans, we have to be excited. No matter what your views are on DeAndre Ayton, there's pro DeAndre Ayton people, there's anti DeAndre Ayton people, there's people like us, and I think that's kind of like the majority are in the middle on DA. It's like there's nights you love him and you see what his value is, and there's other nights where you're like, come on, man, just like play a little harder, like be consistent. But again, a young player, 23 years old, we have him in theory if there's no trades and we hold him for all of his contract, which is really kind of, I don't think something that will happen unless he re-signs again in his third year. Because if you have DA in his third year going into his fourth year and you don't foresee him as a member of or the part of the future of your franchise, you're going to try to bank on his value at that time. But even then, he's 26 years old. Consistency is going to start to come for DA. That's the exciting thing is, to your point, Matthew, seeing him go somewhere else, entering, being 23 and going through the next 3 to 4 seasons potentially on another team, knowing that the growth will occur, and to sit back and watch it from afar would be frustrating as all hell. And knowing that we have him is something that I'm very excited for. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a podcaster, Suns GM Session podcast. It's content, right? Like DA equals content for us. He always has.
Can you imagine if he would have left? Like, what do we even do? I know we have a different watch, maybe someone Miles Turner watch or something crazy like that. But then also, I was going to ask you, where do you think DA's head is with all this? Like, I know we haven't heard from him, and it's the offseason for the most players. They're just on their vacations doing what they want with their honeys or whatever. But then I wonder where his head is. I mean, obviously he didn't tweet out anything, which I feel like maybe a tweet or something. I kind of wanted something like, hey, I'm back. But then we didn't get that. But then I didn't really expect it. So I'm just wondering where his head is with the whole contract and even the organization itself, like where he's at going into next year.
Yeah, that's the other side of this coin, man. It's like ESPN reported, and I don't know how much merit there is, but ESPN reported that he was very excited at the possibility of playing alongside Tyrese Halliburton. So we have to, of course, explore because it's DeAndre Ayton, and we're trying to, yes, we're excited he's back. Like, I am excited. The fact that DeAndre Ayton is back is exciting. Did I think he was worth max money? No. But you know what? Not my decision to make. The market dictated a value. If it says that he's a max player, sweet. And the Suns said, yes, we'll take him in. Bob Sarver, James Jones, like, yes, we'll pay the money. We're going to go at least $15 million into the luxury tax. Fuck yeah, man. That's an investment in not only this team, but in this franchise and this fan base. So you can't help but be excited. But in the same breath, of course, you have to see both sides of the coin. And the other side of the coin is, do we get Poughton Ayton, for the beginning of the season? Is he going to be one of those guys who is just kind of like, I don't want to be here? We've seen this before. We've seen it before. So again, that's where that January 15th deadline is kind of, who is DA by that time? And do the Suns want to try to trade him at that time? My guess is not. That's what I'm going to side on. He's going to come back to a situation in which he sees that the team is willing to spend some money on him. They're willing to go into the luxury tax in an effort to try to keep him. He's surrounded by his boys. He's still got Chris Paul yelling at him. He's still got Devin Booker supporting him. And he's gonna display the growth that a 23-year-old center, who's a former number 1 overall pick, in my hope and opinion, should. But do you fear that there will be any Poughton Ayton stuff? Will we have to create a segment called Poughton Ayton? And
No.
And will it be a topic that we're going to be discussing throughout the season if he's not playing well? We're like, DA's pouting.
Yeah, it's a business, right? We hear that so many times, but DA's side of it too, like he played it right too, where he tried to, where he didn't want to sign the 4 years. He wanted the 5. He wanted the max, and both sides did not give in. So it's his side. He has his side to it too, where it's not just the Suns, right? I mean, it's his side where he wanted more money. He didn't settle. Like Mikal Bridges settled a year ago for his contract, right? Which is a good contract for the Suns.
Great contract for the Suns.
DA didn't want that. DA didn't want to settle for something less than what he thought he was worth. So I just feel like if you're going to come in and pout, it wouldn't make sense because this is a business and you're still playing with maybe a coach that likes you. Who knows after everything that was said and done after that game. But it's just all these players love him. Like, no one said anything bad about him. Chris Paul talks good about him. Everyone does, right? When they had the interviews at the softball game, you were kind of thinking maybe they wouldn't really talk about Da, but everyone praised him. They said the right things. It wasn't anything where no one wanted him to be here, right? But then also maybe they didn't as an organization. Maybe they were just hoping something would happen, because even being on the trade block this last year for Sabonis, like Flex leaked that DeAndre Ayton, that was an option, but they got cold feet and they didn't go through with it. So that's kind of weird too. So DA always knows where he's going to be on the trade block. So that's the other side of it. Like, there's so many different sides where you just can't be. You're not like, we're not comfortable with it like a Devin Booker, right? Where the Devin Booker you re-sign, you're good with it. Everyone's good across the board. There's just so many directions this goes with this goes with DeAndre Ayton, because I feel like there's so many people with different opinions and how they view this guy within the organization. Like, it's kind of like the way I was gonna actually talk about him last podcast is like, the German Shepherds for the police academy. You have a German Shepherd that was kind of like, it was the reject, right? That they can kind of see how this German Shepherd does not fit in, and he's not gonna be able to be a police dog. DeAndre Ayton kind of reminds me of that, right? Like, he's a fun guy, but then like he's not cut out to be like with a Devin Booker or Chris Paul. He always kind of reminded me of that. So maybe they think of him that way. So then I just go through scenarios in my mind, and I'm just making myself even more crazy. But I just think that this team loves him and they'll have him back, even if he isn't what the organization wants. It's very weird to think about it, because he knows that they wanted to trade him. That's the weird part for me.
Well, I like what P Dog 006 says. He says DA has 133 million reasons to get over it. Like you said, it's a business. And here's what I find interesting is, again, with this commitment to DeAndre Ayton, it makes me wonder and hope again, because I am a fan of DeAndre Ayton. I think that the guy has fantastic talent. I'm a lot like a lot of Suns fans that I'd like to see him integrated into the offense a bit more. We've seen what can happen if he gets a lot of touches and a lot of shot attempts. He can put up some pretty nice numbers. It's just, this is a guard-centric offense, and it has been for the past 2 seasons since Chris Paul arrived, and therefore DeAndre Ayton has played his role. And I'm excited to see him rewarded for being about the we and not the me. He plays as a member of the team instead of being somebody who's constantly like, I need the ball, give me the ball. Oh, I don't have the ball. You don't see him do a lot of those things that oh God, who was I watching the other day? Klay Thompson was doing it. Some, NBA champion Warriors.
He does it a lot, doesn't he?
He does it a lot though. Like, on a possession, he'll want the ball, he doesn't get it, and he just puts his head down.
He's always,
and LeBron will do it too. But DA never does that. He just puts his head down and runs. Maybe he doesn't dunk as aggressively as we want, but he does play as a member of the team. And what I hope with this investment for the Phoenix Suns is they decide to integrate him more into the offense. They have made a commitment to him saying, hey, you're going to be here for 4 years, in theory, right? According to the contract, he's going to be here for 4 years. So let's get you integrated into this offense. Let's start to design more plays specifically for you, where you're doing some back downs and you become effective and scary enough in the post, in which teams are going to start throwing double teams at you, because in a perfect world, that does nothing but excel this offense, because then, DA can whip the ball out and they can pass it around and find wide open shots for other players. And, do you think that the Phoenix Suns, in making this commitment, have also said, hey, it's our job, it's our role to try to develop this player more offensively and allow him to be a more dominant big man?
This is always a weird conversation, because I feel like we hear a lot about it after not knowing where he would end up. A lot of people were talking about, he never really had the opportunity, right, to really implement himself into the offense, be a focal point. The thing is with him, I never really got the feeling that he wanted to be. I mean, there's certain comments he would say, like he always said, like, yeah, I'm a team player and stuff, but I never felt like he wanted to be the dominant center, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just feel like he never went out and really wanted to be, but then maybe it's just the situation he's in. Because that's what I'm saying. It goes back and forth. It's like, did he want to? Did he not? Like, there's comments in the bubble where he talked about he thought the Suns going to win without him, which is kind of weird with Mikal Bridges in an interview. Like, he just has this thing where it's like he's there to have fun and play hard when he can, but it's never like, I want to be the focal point, I'm going to go play hard every night. And the way his game is, I always thought that he can kind of go after it and be more intimidating in a way where, just like last year in the playoffs against the Pelicans, there was that game where Chris Paul went off, but the way DA played the boards and played the rim, like, no one was throwing him the ball. He can dominate when he wants to, right? So then you think of that, and it's just like, I never thought of him as a guy that wanted to be the main guy, because he's never really said it. And I know it's good that he never did, but even body language wise, like I never thought of him like, oh, like I'm annoyed I'm not getting the ball. Like he kind
Yeah.
of just like went through the progression on offense a lot of the time. So I don't think that was ever a thing for me. It wasn't. And it just kind of came out the last 2 weeks where it kind of was. So I'm kind of confused on that one.
Yeah, no, I hear you 100%. And again, like Dean St. Louis just said in the chat, and thank you to everyone who's joining us live in the chat in the middle of July.
Yes.
I just don't know if he can constantly play like a max player, and I think about that comment, and I think that's where a lot of the DeAndre Ayton haters, right, will constantly bring that point up. Well, he's not playing like a max player tonight. But you take a look around the league at some of the max players, and they don't play like max players every night. It's
Yeah.
like, so again, what defines a max player isn't their actions consistently on the court. It's what the market dictates. And we can no longer, in my opinion, we can, of course, everyone can have their discourse and their thoughts and their opinions. But personally, it's a lot more of a challenge for me to say, well, he's not playing like a max player, because regardless whether he's playing like one in quotation marks up to our standards or not, he is a max player now.
Yeah.
So that is what a max player is. So if you see DA have one of those nights where you feel like he's dogging, it's like, yeah, but that's what a max player does.
True.
Yeah.
So I'll never understand this guy. I never will.
Yeah. The duality of DA.
It's so strange, man.
That's what we're going to be. And again, I'm selfishly excited for it, because as a Suns fan, it gives me, and a podcaster, gives me a lot of content to crank out about DA and about his dedication, about whether or not he's engaged, and whether or not he's willing to put forth the effort and want to be great. Somebody mentioned earlier, John Paul Edwards de Dios says he doesn't want to be great. Well, we'll see if he wants to be great.
We'll see.
Because again, like role players, he's a fantastic role player. He's part of this core, and I'm excited that he's remaining here, because as you mentioned, Matthew, it would suck to see him go to Indiana. Which, by the way, like, does James Jones only do deals with Indiana?
Right?
Like,
no, I know, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
he played for them once, right? I mean, he played for like 18 different teams.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. So, but again, DA's back. The title of this podcast, Mo Money, Mo Problems. I don't know if we have more problems because DA's back. I think that if we have problems, they're good problems. The problem we have is now we're going to go into the luxury tax. That's a good problem. That's something we don't normally see from the Phoenix Suns. Now, obviously, if we want to really go deep into the luxury tax, we bring up the KD situation. The rumors are still flying at this point. He's still not off the table. But knowing that DeAndre Ayton can't be a part of any deal, should the Suns continue to pursue KD? What are your thoughts there? Because the Nets literally hold all the leverage. All the leverage. I mean, the Suns, and it sounds like the Suns can't put together any semblance of a deal that would be satisfactory to the Nets. I think they want just us to trade the entire organization to Brooklyn, and we're left with like KD and Booker, and they don't have an arena to play, and they want us to trade the arena. They want us to trade the Suns Gorilla. They want us to trade our colors to them. I mean, Brooklyn wants everything. And again, when you're in that leverage situation, when Sean Marks is in a situation as their general manager, you can't fuck this up or it's your job. My guess is KD is going to be a Net next year, not a Sun. What are your thoughts?
I honestly, I'm 99% sure. I feel like he's going to be a Sun.
Really?
I think he has a lot of leverage. I think he can go where he wants to go. I think this is just the way it is. But if you're the Nets too, what do you want to do? You want to run it back with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving again? No matter how good Kevin Durant is, like he's shown like he can't win with like a Kyrie. Forget about the games like he missed. Well, I guess you can talk about the games he missed because of the vaccine thing, but you just saw in the playoffs they had nothing there. I mean, even Steve Nash as a coach, there was that player in summer league that was kind of like he heard a comment about Steve Nash and kind of gave like an eye roll, like, oh, like that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like that's what it seemed like. It's like, do you like where this is going? So I think that the Nets need to move off. They still have Ben Simmons, which I really like him. And if Donovan Mitchell is included with this trade, which I don't feel like he's going to go to the Knicks, he would be a Net. If you have Mitchell and Simmons, you can start building with all those picks again. I think that's a good situation for the Nets.
He's on a rookie max. So you can't do it.
Then why are they talking about the Nets?
They're talking about the Knicks.
No, they're talking about the Knicks, but I thought the Nets were the other option.
No, right? I heard the Knicks, what was the other team they were talking about with Donovan Mitchell?
Well, then screw that idea I had, dude. Oh, I didn't even know
What?
he was still on his rookie max.
Yeah, because he's a year past, or he's a year older than Booker.
Okay.
Yeah, so unless he
Well, then
signed his other deal,
I
maybe
don't know.
maybe
Yeah, I
maybe I'm
guess.
wrong.
I mean,
The
we've been
Heat, yeah.
listening to Bill
Amanda just
Simmons.
said it. The Heat,
The Heat.
which
Okay.
who
He
have
looks like a
Bam
Heat player.
Adebayo. So
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
you think Katie's gonna stay? I just think it's a weird situation there.
I
Like you're not
think
gonna win with those two dudes.
it's a weird situation, but again, Brooklyn holds all the leverage. Katie just signed an extension, so now don't get me wrong. Like if KD wants to hold out, if KD's hell bent and determined, says I will not play for Brooklyn one more time. Guess what? He's got the world heavyweight champion of sitting out for stupid reasons on his team, and Ben Simmons. He just needs to ask him, like, "Hey, man, how did you do it last season? Where you just didn't pay at all?" And he's just like, "Oh, I just kept making up injuries, man. My back,
Yeah.
my mental health. I use that buzzword, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay, we don't want to." Ben Simmons, mental health. It's like, yeah, he's making 70 million. It's like,
Hmm.
but again, I think that in time we could see Kevin Durant as a member of the Suns, but I just don't think it'll be before the season begins. It might be something where he holds out. He's not going to play. He's going to sit there and just not put forth any effort to try to rectify any situations in Brooklyn. And they might try to have to trade him by the trade deadline in an effort to garner anything from him. That's all I can see. But
Yeah.
and I get it. And I know that Flex is saying otherwise. And there's a lot
Yeah.
smarter people who have a lot more contacts inside the NBA, influence inside the NBA, and have a better understanding of how all this stuff works. But from the outside looking in, as a pure 100% Phoenix Suns fan, I just don't see James Jones willing to gut the interior of our core. Okay, and by that I mean like Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, Saric, all these assets. I don't see him doing it all for Kevin Durant. Now, don't get me wrong. You end up with Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton on a team. That's a great fucking team, man. It is on the front line, but you've murdered your depth. And we'll talk about it momentarily. It looks like they're doing a good job of backfilling their depth because we're going to talk about some of their newer players and some of the transactions that James Jones has
Jeez, I forgot
executed.
their fucking names.
Yeah. Oh, I got them. I got them. But at the same time, it's interesting. So says Jay says Nets have zero leverage. KD has it all. If that's the case, then why is KD not just on the Suns? I want to go to the Suns. So he's not on the Suns.
There's something else. I think it's because, like I said earlier, where I thought like Mitchell would go to the Nets, but then you brought up the whole max contract thing as a rookie. Like, yeah, that's one thing, but I think they're just waiting to see what else is out there. I don't think it's the Nets. I think the Nets are, but Katie's just like, no, I'm getting traded to the Suns. Like, this is what's going to happen, but I will wait. I will wait till you guys receive to what you guys need, picks, whatever, these players, whatever you need. And like Sean Marks just resigned too, right? As the dude in Brooklyn. So I don't think he's done a bad job. But even if he lets KD walk, like he got these guys that come to Brooklyn, it didn't work out. Like there's nothing that he can do with that. Like they were on the court, they fucked things up. It wasn't him. He got the big names there. So I don't think he's done a terrible job. I think that he did the best he could by getting those players here. And now if one wants out, like Kevin Durant that wants to go to Phoenix, I just think it's going to happen. And yeah, Flex is he's been held to his truth the whole time. I feel like he's been almost like 100% right this whole time. And when he's saying that KD has leverage, I really believe that he does, and I think every player does because you've seen these players get out of it. And I'd be surprised if it lasted till next season to where the Suns have to trade to get him. And depth wise, if we were to give up Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, I'm okay with it now just because we have Ayton back. Even though I like Mikal maybe a little bit better than Ayton, it's like you got to have one of those two dudes that you drafted that are going to be really good players, maybe all-stars. So if we have Ayton and we have to give those two guys away, no matter how much I love Cameron Johnson, that's a team you can't pass up. That's a number one team again this year. That's the team that everyone has to look out for with a great coach and the bench. Yeah, we'll talk about the other two dudes. Depth matters, but when you have those guys out there, as long as they stay healthy, it's okay. And if Cameron Payne can step up, then that's fine. But depth to me does not matter if you can have those four guys out there starting next year.
Well, with the Nets giving up Kevin Durant, it's going to be your classic, like, okay, we'll give you 2 quarters, 3 nickels, and, like 7 dimes for $1.25, like whatever the math is on that. The team that typically gets all of the picks and all of the little micro assets versus the superstar generally loses those trades. So I don't know what. Again, if you have a player who doesn't want to be there, and I hear what everybody's saying, okay, the Nets didn't make a commitment to Kyrie Irving. One, he opted into his $44 million whatever it is contract, but they didn't sign him to an extension. So that was kind of red flag number one, right? The Nets aren't willing to invest in Kyrie, and KD wants to play with Kyrie, but then he instantly wants to trade away from him the moment that he says he wants to opt in. So he wants the hell out of there. I get it. But the organization has to have some power in the situation, right? I mean, everyone's saying that KD has all the leverage. It's like, well, then what's the point of an organization? Why do people sign contracts if there's no consequence to said contracts?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we saw it with Anthony Davis. We saw it with Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis was further along. He still had like 2 years left on his deal when he forced his way out of New Orleans, and then they got a ton of picks and a bunch of really good players in that one. So that might be an example of, you give me two quarters, 3 dimes, and 5 nickels for $1, and they won the trade versus the guys who got the dollar. So, again, I think that I hope Katie, and this is the other side of this. Like, I hope Katie's on the Suns. I really want him. I don't want him to gut the cords. It would kill me to see Mikal go, as I'm sure that very many other Suns fans would say. But it's if that's what brings you KD, it's what brings you KD. I just don't know if I see it happening. I don't see, because we're kind of hitting this. If KD can force his way out of Brooklyn after signing an extension like that, I mean, that's kind of a monumental type of player empowerment statement, right? It's one thing to do the AD thing. It's another thing to do like the James Harden thing, right? Twice for James Harden. But to have somebody sign an extension for that long, for that many dollars, and then to instantly say, yeah, I don't want to play here the following season, that's kind of a monumental moment in the NBA, don't you think?
It is, but then also, if he doesn't want to play there, then why would an organization waste their time with a guy that doesn't want to play there? Like, start rebuilding, start getting other assets if you can.
It's frustrating,
It
though.
is, but they're chasing the championships now, man. That's what all these players want, are just the championships. They have to make sure they get them before they're done playing in their career. They get as much as they can. And also, it would suck if this is such a big deal now that Suns have an opportunity to get Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? It's always been such a big deal. You never thought James Harden, what he did, you never thought that stuff would actually happen. The James Harden would actually get traded twice, right? Force himself out of 2 situations like that. It happens. Now they're saying that again about KD, but if you watch the Nets last year, it's just no good. How do you run that back again? Even though they were close 2 years ago to get into the championship, it just doesn't seem like a good feel. They had their opportunity. It's time to move on. That's just the way it is now in the NBA. Just like the Suns, if they get Kevin Durant, this doesn't work out, guess what's going to happen next offseason? It's going to split up. Chris Paul is probably going to be gone. Devin Booker, who knows? I'm just saying this could happen to the Suns at the end of this next year if we don't win. Because if you get Kevin Durant, you have to win at least the next 2 years, maybe, if you have these guys and they're healthy and there's no issues that went on in the postseason coming up. If there was no injuries and these guys were playing at full strength, they have to win. That's a lot of pressure, but it's also a lot of money. That's why you go into luxury tax. You'll make a lot of it back, I feel like, off of the money you're going to make off of Kevin Durant being here in Phoenix.
No, I get you. And I think that the reason you'd run it back if you're the Nets is the fact that in the last, 2 seasons, they've played a total of 58 games together, and they were 34-24,
Yes. Yeah.
That combines the regular season and the playoffs. So, in 2 seasons, which is 164 games, you got 58 games out of the 2 guys. I think that's enough reason for them to try to run it back. Is we still haven't had an opportunity to give this thing a chance yet. That's if you're the Nets, that's what you're thinking. And that's what you're trying to tell KD. It's like, listen, man, we signed you. We brought you in. You were injured. You didn't play an entire season, and then you only played 58 games with KD in this time frame. So let's give it a chance. But again, if KD wants out, like you said, KD will get out. I just don't know if he'll get out at the beginning of the season because they're gonna drag this thing on all summer.
It's gonna be a while. That's why it's like we got to move on to other things. We got to get ready for football coming up because this is probably gonna last until then. Like I was watching Suns Geek last night. He's like, I feel like it's gonna happen in September, which I'm like, yeah, that might be what happens.
Yeah,
and
true.
It's gonna drag out for a long time. And I don't know, man. Just if this happens, though, it's gonna be awesome. But the pressure on this organization now to actually get it done,
Oh,
it's gonna
it's
be
through the
crazy.
roof. It'll be through the
It can
roof.
be hell next if this does not happen though, and they don't win with this guy. It's gonna fucking suck. It's gonna be worse than like what LeBron did with the Miami Heat organization. I feel
But
like
would it be worse than a Game 7 against the Dallas Mavericks in which you get
where
raped on
everybody was
national
constipated or
television?
had diarrhea or something. Either one of the two. Whatever happened to them in that
Whatever
game.
happened in that. Oh, God. Well, moving on, the Phoenix Suns have made some transactions thus far this summer, and I just wanted to talk about these guys kind of
Yeah.
briefly, if you will. See what your initial thoughts are on the back end of the roster, things that the Phoenix Suns have done. A couple guys that they didn't bring back. Aaron Holiday. Who did he sign with? Do you remember?
No, I didn't. Oh, who is it, Jamsters? That's
Feel
a
like
weird one to be upset
it
about
was
because it's like he never played. So it was like
we always wanted him to, though.
we always wanted
Suns
him to
fans, we
because the Suns
always
were
wanted
falling
him to.
apart. So we're just trying to glue it together
Like
with this guy.
anybody.
About
The
the
Hawks.
Hawks.
That's right. Yep. He signed with the Hawks. Thank you to the Jamsters for saving us as always. We're super prepared
'cause we
as
know.
and Kaminsky went there as well, as Fabio noted.
Yeah.
But from a guard standpoint, Aaron Holiday gone, Elfrid Payton not brought back. Probably will never play another game in the NBA. So
Aw.
the Phoenix Suns, it's true. But we brought in a couple new guards. First guard, Josh Okogie, 6'4" from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He, a 1 year, $1.9 million contract. So something that's very, very affordable. In his 4 previous seasons with the Minnesota Timberwolves, he averaged in 20.6 minutes per game, and primarily coming off the bench. Although he did, for half a season 2 years ago for the Timberwolves, he played about, he started 37 games. He actually started 123 of his 244 games as a pro, but 6.4 points per game, 27.5 3-point shooter. So did the Suns, by bringing in Josh Okogie, just sign another Elfrid Payton who can't shoot?
Yeah, you know what?
75% from the free throw line.
Coda Kid says Okogie is Mikhail's replacement, which might because they started signing as soon as this KD stuff started to hit. We got like the 2 wings, right? And Damian Lee will talk in a little bit. So it's kind of like, it's like that defender, right? But I don't know. It's kind of a filler spot for me. It doesn't really seem like anything too crazy. It's kind of like I guess you're trying to make up one player if Mikhail were to leave. You have him and you have a little bit more of a wing depth, but I mean, it's nothing crazy. I feel like the Suns are making good transactions to get these guys on in small contracts, but we'll see how it pans out during the regular season if these guys could fill up a big role. Because honestly, the way our bench kind of let us down last year, where we were so excited about it, it just was so miserable. So I'm having a hard time getting excited about anything else other than the KD thing, because anything that's depth, it's just like, what are you going to do during the regular season? Are you going to help us in the postseason? So that's all I'm focused on.
No, I hear you. And again, with Okogie, it's, as a lot of the Jamsters are noting. So if you're not watching this podcast and you're listening to it, head over to the YouTube feed every now and then, see, because you get some great comments from the Jamsters. And it's one thing that's fun about doing the pod is, as Code says, he's a straight dog. He's really good at defense, really bad at offense. So he's going to be kind of a selective insertion kind of guy. You're going to have him out there when you want to do defensive lineups, but you have to have another source of offensive capability on the court. And it ain't him, babe, because he ain't going to be knocking down shots in any way, shape, or form. Now, that being said, another addition for the Phoenix Suns is Damian Lee, 6'5". We brought him in on another very friendly deal as well. 1 year, $2.1 million. He is much more of a shooter, if you will. 35.7% from beyond the arc in his 5 NBA seasons, 8.2 points. Generally a backup shooting guard, but he can, he'll play probably a little bit of that 3 as well. So I would expect some lineups in which we saw Damian Lee out there with Josh Okogie, knowing that Okogie's out there to, block up defense, and Damian Lee's out there to hit the shots, knock them down.
Yeah. Exciting, and he did play with KD for KD's last time with the Warriors
That's
last
why they
season. They
brought
played
him
together.
in.
That's
Like,
exactly the reason,
Damian
right?
Lee, you could talk him into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, he knows what it takes to win, but I don't even know, man. I don't know. It's cool. That's how I felt when we got these guys. It's cool. It's just like they're preparing for something else. So that's what I thought the whole time.
That's
So
how I felt too, and we'll talk about Jock Landale here really quick as
yeah,
well.
there you go.
But these are the Phoenix Suns are making moves to set them up potentially for a KD trade. And that's been kind of, again, the moment that everything started to go down relative to free agency and all that. It's kind of like that meme where it's just somebody sitting there poking the Suns logo. It's like, come on, do something. And then all of a sudden you hear the KD news and you're like, oh shit. And now that, we talked about a little bit on our last podcast, they could potentially be handcuffed by this decision. The pursuit of KD could handcuff the Suns to where they might not make a bunch of moves that benefit the team because they're trying to set themselves up for success to get KD. But that being said, like, I feel like these are a couple of really good, solid players that are going to come in and provide minimal minutes, but have some sort of impact, because all these players do. That's why depth is important. But depth isn't necessarily important when you hit the playoffs. When we're talking about these guys, because these guys, this is 12th, 13th guy off the bench, maybe 11th and 12th guy off the bench. We're not going. We're not going to, and we shouldn't see them in the playoffs. That's how we knew the Suns were fucked last season. Is when we were sitting there like, Aaron Holiday, he needs more minutes. Clearly, he's the answer. That's how you know you're fucked, right?
We don't, and you don't get him back. You're like, oh, what are we gonna do without Aaron Holiday? That's the way we were thinking in the playoffs. It was crazy. Like, that's how bad the Suns were with their depth, and a lot of it was because of Cameron Payne. I think Cameron Payne was just kind of hurt. Something was going on. So that's what I'm saying, dude.
Cameron Payne really hurt this team.
He hasn't been involved with anything of like any trade scenarios or anything. So I guess he's just gonna be a Sun next year for sure.
Yeah, I think that maybe his contract is a little too hefty for other teams to try to absorb, is what I think it comes down to. But bringing up the next new member of the Phoenix Suns, one Jock Landale, center.
Let's go.
6'11", traded for cash. He's only $1.6 million this season and has a qualifying offer of $2 million next season. You take a look at this dude. He's a man, dude. He's comes from playing with the Spurs and playing with a little bit with I think he just played with the Spurs, right?
Yeah, it's only 1 year, right?
Yeah, 1 year. But I mean,
yep, he's
Australian man, dude. It's kind of like having like another Aaron Baines.
He's gonna be a fan favorite for sure.
Without a doubt.
I think so. I think he is
without a doubt. And
Code says too. Landale is gonna surprise everybody. Watch. And honestly, when we got him, I was actually excited about that one. I was like, I remember how annoyed I was of this guy playing against him when he played for the Spurs. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing to have on your team. And I honestly think now that Kaminsky's gone, he might fill that role as like our new fan favorite, right?
Yeah, because and JaVale, he's gonna get a lot of the JaVale minutes.
Yep.
But he's going to get a lot of that love that Kaminsky got, and love that we forgot we possessed, because Kaminsky was out for so long. We forgot how to love, perhaps last season. Maybe that was ultimately our downfall. We forgot how to love. But now with Jock Landale, like, I'm excited to see this guy play for sure. You take a look at how he played last season against the Phoenix Suns. The 2 games that he played against us, what was his final totals? I was looking it up right now. Didn't look like he did that great against us.
He just was a pest. Like
he was a pest on the boards.
And it wasn't like a whole lot of like he's nailing this, like he hits a big shot or anything, but he always was just there for the rebound, making things difficult on the Suns in many situations. So that's what's fun about him. I know he's 26 and he only played 1 year, but there's something about him, man. It's just something about this guy.
It's that Aaron Baines factor. I don't know. Like you said, I think this guy's definitely going to be a fan favorite. So now we're going to play my favorite game, Matthew. What jersey number are they going to wear?
46. Oh, okay.
So, we'll start with Josh Okogie.
Okay.
Josh Okogie, in his time with the Minnesota Timberwolves, always wore number 20. So what's he gonna wear now that he's a member of the Phoenix Suns? Because Dario Saric, who will be back hopefully this season, that's his number.
It is. 21, 22 is gone. So you can't go down. 23 is gone. You can't go to 19 or 18. I feel like you got to keep going up. So what is it gonna be? 25?
Nope, that's Mikhail.
Oh my god, dude! I was so excited.
Wow, you already traded him, huh? You already traded him.
I'm always so bad at this game still. I don't know. Let's do 26.
I like what Mike B
There you go.
says. The opposite of 2002. Mike B
Yeah.
says number 2. I think he's going to wear number 2. Because
He's
who
a
wore number
guard,
2 last
so-
season? Aaron Holiday,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't pulled on. Let's see. Yep. No, he
There
was
you
number
go.
4. Number
Oh.
2 was
Alfred Payton.
yes.
God, we're really. I
He's
should
number
have. I should have prepped more for this
No,
segment.
it's fine.
I think he's going to wear number 2. All right. What about Damian
Okay.
Lee? Damian Lee, when he played for the Atlanta Hawks back in 2018, he wore number 8, and he was number 1 with the Golden State Warriors. What does he wear with the Phoenix Suns?
Well, it'll be number 11 now, right? Kaminsky was 11. Oh no, Kaminsky was 8. Sorry.
He was 8. Yeah, Kaminsky was 8.
I'm gonna say 11. Could I just hit on one that's no one has, please? 11's good, right?
I don't know.
It is.
Does anyone wear 11 for the Phoenix Suns? I don't know. I'll go with 11. I can't think of
Okay.
anyone who wore 11.
Nader's
who-
11. Motherfucker.
No, but Nader's gone.
Yeah. Oh, is he gone?
Yeah.
Well,
Nader,
since
he-
when has he been gone?
Dude, Nader, they released him like last season.
Oh my God. Welcome to the Suns Transition podcast. My name is Matthew.
Okay, go
I
on.
suck
Tell
at
me
this.
tell me a little bit about yourself now, Matthew.
I'm not good with numbers, and I'm not good with Raphael Nader, whatever his name was.
Abdul. Remember Dooley? Yeah, look, I'm looking up the transactions real quick. He on February 10th, he was waived by the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, okay. See,
So you're gonna go with 11.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Fabio
go with
does
11.
says he's never gone. He's forever Monty's heart.
This
Maybe
is
that's
true.
how I feel. So
This is true.
shows that I never pay attention. All right.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna check real quick to see. I'm gonna click on uniform numbers here for the Phoenix Suns on Basketball Reference. I'm gonna see. Okay, yep. I'm gonna go with 17. No one's worn 17 since PJ Tucker departed in 2017.
Okay.
So
That's
that's what I think Damian Lee is gonna go with. You know,
He looks like a 17. Yeah.
now the big question is Jock Landale. What? No, he's worn number 34 with the Spurs. Obviously, we know he's not going to wear that with the Phoenix Suns because it is retired due to Charles Barkley. What do you think he's going to wear? I think he's going to reverse it and go 43.
Okay. I was going to say 40s. Anything in the 40, or else just whip out the big 99. You know, if you want to be an
like Jay
instant fan
Crowder?
favorite. Dude, this is. Are you kidding me? I feel like I have everybody traded and gone except for those 4 dudes
I know,
of Kevin
right?
Durant, DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul on this team.
Yeah, so he should wear 99, right?
Oh. Let's go 98. Wait, who's that? Who's number 98?
Fun fact: the only guy who's ever won 98 in the history of the Phoenix Suns was Hamed Haddadi. He was your Haddadi. Do you know what's funny though? I have it pulled up, like everyone who wore number 17 in the history of the Phoenix Suns. Lou Amundsen wore it. There was a guy in 1986. His name is Devin Durant.
Oh, you know what? I swear to God.
Devin Durant
Yeah,
played
someone
for the
was tweeting
Phoenix
about him
Suns.
a while ago.
Really?
Yeah, because
1985,
of the whole
1986.
Durant thing,
He played 4 games. He had 4.3 points. Like, I got to get a picture of Devin Durant. This is fantastic.
Mhm. Well,
So what do you think for Jock? I said 43. You got to lock in an answer.
all right, I'm gonna say let's go 40. Let's go 40.
Oh, you mean like
You're like hoping
I was hoping you were gonna hit one that somebody's currently wearing.
I was like, you're just waiting. You're like, come on, say it.
All right,
Say
here we
it.
go. 40. The last player to wear 40, Anthony Tolliver. I remember him back in
I remember him
2015.
too. Yeah.
Luke Zeller, and then of course Kurt Thomas wore it. Corey Blunt, Lauren Mayer, John Coker, Joe Courtney, Mike McGee, David Thirdkill, Mike Niles, Ricky Sobers, Mike
All
Bland,
very
Joe,
solid players, huh?
Joe Thomas, and Stan McKenzie. God, 12 players have worn 12 in the history of the
Ugly
Phoenix
number.
Suns.
Ugly.
Yeah,
number.
Kurt Thomas was an ugly dude. I think that's the one who really ruined it for us. So there you go. Other news relative to the Phoenix Suns or around the NBA. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Around the NBA. No, who won the championship last year? I feel like I already forgot. Oh yeah, the Warriors. So you know, I was wondering, what did we even talk about last time we did a pod together? Yeah,
We did
what was,
one on
like, the
June
last thing?
30th, and
June
I don't
30th?
remember. Yeah, it's been a while. Jamsters will be coming to you more regularly now. It's just
Yeah.
getting over the hump of the summertime blues, right? We're about to go into the most boring time of the year, so we'll still come to you once a week. But and obviously, if any big news hits, like we'll be breaking it
So
down.
I gotta throw something out there too. So John, I was working on 64 wins for the Suns,
I
right?
saw you were working on this.
Yeah,
Tell the Jamsters about
64.
this.
So 64 moments of the season. I mean, it's the season, of course, everyone talks about. It sucks because there's no point to it. But I feel like once we get Kevin Durant, everyone will feel a little bit better. But even right now with DeAndre Ayton re-signing, we kind of feel better about this team. So I want everybody to revisit last year and think of your favorite moment. Let us know your favorite moment because we're going to do a top 64 bracket of the best moments from last year. We're going to count them down, get some videos together, throw them out there, get some voting, and just see what the number one moment was last year. Just something fun to do, something different. So
And Matthew,
I'm at
you are
number,
100% in charge of doing all this.
and I was like, I already got started, and I am at 36 moments, I think, so far. So I need a little bit of a help, a little bit of a hand.
Let's see if I can think of some moments to throw out at you.
Yeah,
Do you
it
have
could be anything.
Devin
I
Booker
even
and
have
the
the one.
Raptor?
Yep, got that one. I even had the girl that flashed her cha-chas behind
yeah,
Tom Chambers. That's a moment. So anything that's a moment, it'd be fun to see what wins because it's not going to be like the number one, like what you really think it's going to be, like Cameron Johnson's buzzer beater. It'll probably be something really fun and different. So,
well, there you go, Jams. Just make sure you send that information to @SunsJam on Twitter. Summer League. How many minutes of Summer League basketball have you watched? Let's talk about how the Suns are effectively utilizing the Spain pick and roll in Summer League thus far in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. When I've been watching. I think I got to 1+ minute.
Oh, I've watched 0.
Yeah,
sorry.
Watched.
I'm sorry. It's interesting because in years past when we would do when we would do this podcast, we'd be very involved with Summer League. We were scouting players, and I think James Jones has changed me. I'm a changed man. I care not about the Summer League, much akin to the G League. The Phoenix Suns have no interest in the Summer League or the G League. They're no longer a franchise that looks to develop. And I think that's a valuable observation you make when it comes to trading draft picks. If you're trading draft picks, and if you're trading 7 draft picks for KD, right? Because the max you can trade is 4, but you can do 3 pick swaps as well. So 7's kind of the max number that you can throw out there. If you're trading draft picks, you're an organization that says, we don't think that we're going to need those draft picks, right? And we, as you mentioned, Matthew, we're a destination for free agents, for people in trades, who want to dictate where they're going, a la Chris Paul, a la Kevin Durant, a la probably Devin Durant back in '86. And I think that if you look at it through that lens, draft picks, obviously, and development is no longer where the Phoenix Suns live. And we've moved off that block. We're not even in that city anymore. I mean, we used to be at the heart of development and draft picksville, if you will. And we've moved on. We're in a different state now. We're kind of hitting with the heavy hitters. We're with the teams, that say, we don't develop this team through the draft, and we don't value those assets nearly as much as other teams do. Now, that being said, the Nets have to take that into account too. If they're going to try to trade for Kevin Durant or trade away Kevin Durant and get draft picks in return, they know that the draft picks aren't nearly as valuable because you're sending away Kevin Durant. This guy's going to, you're going to get the 28th, 29th, or 30th draft pick every year on a team that has him rostered. So that's why it's like it's such a challenge. And that's probably why we haven't seen any movement on this front, is because it's such a complex situation and such a layered version of what this trade is and how these assets are being valued by both sides that that's why we haven't seen anything. And that's why fuck the Summer League. I don't know how I got back on Kevin Durant, but fuck the Summer League.
Yeah, I mean, if you can show up if you're going to talk transactions, but yeah, go ahead, develop those players, and then we'll take them in 4 or 5 years.
Exactly. We can be like the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Yeah, I feel like just like when Golden State finally had a number 1 pick or whatever, it's like, oh my god, who are they going to take? It's so weird that they had one after such a long time. Suns are becoming that franchise. I mean, they got to win a fucking championship, but until then, you know what? All these young players, it doesn't matter. They got to develop in something. Like, it's crazy that we have Mikal Bridges and DeAndre, young players developing. And still, we're going to maybe give them away. Yeah, and we're still going to give them away maybe. So It's definitely different for us. We're not used to it. I do miss the drafts, evaluating these players, and I'm still gonna watch them and still gonna do it. But for the Suns to look forward to a young player again, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice not to worry about, because you realize it gets you nowhere. It got us nowhere. Like, what's the last team that really developed their team and won a championship?
Da,
Right?
McHale, Booker. I mean,
I
these are
know.
all draft
I
picks. That's
know.
the other side of this
Yeah.
argument, right?
But
Like,
they haven't won anything though yet. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
this
So
is
it's like
true.
you have to
Western
wait
Conference
20 years
Championship.
into the the Warriors are the only team that really like got it down. They're the only team that did it. And
What about the
maybe
Bucks?
Spurs too.
Bucks. I mean, they traded for Drew
Bucks.
Holiday.
All right, just fuck this, dude.
Just fuck right off. So Matthew, what are you watching this summer? What are you watching to get you through the summertime blues?
I'm not watching. You know what I tried to watch last night was The Boys season 3.
I have
first episode.
No interest in The Boys,
dude. It was
Not
there's a
anymore.
part in it that is just kind of like, what the fuck, and it was just too much. Like, it was too much for me to watch. It involves like a miniature man going at some dude's penis, and then like he blows up. Like he's a man that shrinks down, so he goes in a guy's penis, and then like he like accidentally sneezes and he turns into regular size, and the guy just splits in half.
Oh wow, The Boys are really.
But like that whole scene was just like, damn, dude, it was nasty. So I don't watch it anymore.
I heard The Boys the first episode of the first season, like they went, because The Boys was already kind of a gory show, right? And the first season was fantastic, and the second season was a little bit, I don't know, it kind of lost me a little bit. And I heard that the third season they come out heavy hitting with the punches relative to gore and gruesomeness. I think it's something that eventually I'll watch, but it's not on any list of mine, again, because in season 2 they just kind of lost me. You know, I think that, and Thomas Danette is in the chat. He's like, The Boys, the best show ever. You know, and I definitely have some friends of mine who are very much about that show. It's not something that I have a lot of interest in.
Nothing's good. Like, there's just everything. Stranger Things is good, but it's
on
simple.
episode 7, and yeah, it's simple though. Yeah. Obviously, don't tell me anything that happens, because I still have two episodes to go. But I've enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed Stranger Things 4 thus far this summer. You know, as I sit back and try to relax here and there, it's been a
anything.
Really,
I'm not, even the new Thor. I'm not excited to go see that. I'm not excited to see.
We were going to ask you if you're going to go see it. Did Shannon text you?
Yeah, she did, and I said, I'm like, you, and then I don't know if she replied, but I don't know. There's nothing really good out there right now. I tell you, I'll start to watch something like The Boys, and it's weird that I just turned it off. But I turn it off, and I'm just like, I don't really want to watch this. I need to be doing something else, like prepping for pod notes, knowing my numbers of the Suns, knowing something about the Phoenix Suns and how teams actually can grow their own core. You know what I mean? But yeah, nothing right now, man. What about you though?
I mean, I've been watching Stranger Things. You know, it's a lot of murder mystery type shows are always kind of on in my house, which are those things just always suck you in. You're like, they did what? They killed who with what? DNA,
crazy. People
DNA every time.
Yeah,
it's like people. I don't understand how anybody kills anybody anymore. I just don't.
Just
get
life
it.
sucks that much where you just don't care.
Well, they watch one episode of The Boys, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna go slit a motherfucker's throat.
Yeah, bad childhoods. There you go.
Thomas Tennant says Terminal List.
Never heard of
Steve
that.
Haller also says Terminal List too, so maybe I'll check that out.
What's that on? Steve Haller.
What is that on? Steve Haller, Thomas Tennant. What's that on? Holler if you will. I think it's on HBO. I'm not sure.
Is it?
I'm not sure.
Okay, HBO stuff's pretty good.
I saw the Elvis movie. I thought that was really good.
Oh,
the first 45 minutes. HBO? No. I saw it in the theater.
Oh, okay.
But it was like the first 45 minutes, you could tell the director was like trying to be very like directory, if you will, and then it like settled in. The actor who plays it is fantastic. So it looks like Terminal List is on Amazon. So.
You know what else is on Amazon? Yankees games. I watch a Yankees game on Amazon Prime. Isn't it awesome?
I've watched zero baseball, and guess what? The All-Star game is about to be at Dodger Stadium, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm going through the motions in baseball, man. I've lost. It's weird how I've lost all passion for baseball.
It's all gone.
I have like none left. Like I don't like baseball anymore. I'm like, what happened to me?
You won the championship. That was all you needed, I guess, huh?
I guess. I'm like, thank God it's over.
Yeah.
All right. And, you know, it's like basketball and football is where it's at, but I need to get ready for football prep and things like that. So.
Oh yeah. Fantasy.
But I guess on that note, Jamsters, we're going to thank you once again for joining us on another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. What do you want to do? Sunday nights? Like we'll do Sunday nights. It's kind of does that work for your schedule or?
Yeah. Let me look really quick. All right. I wasn't even looking at anything, but yeah, Sunday nights work for me.
So maybe we'll come live this Sunday night. If not, we'll do it every Sunday night after that. And just, they might not be hour-long podcasts because there's just not a lot going on. It's just that time of year. I mean, Bill Simmons is taking 5 weeks off. So
is he taking 5 weeks?
Yeah. So time
Good
to catch
for
up
him,
on the
though.
Rewatchables podcasts, which are always great pods.
Oh, that's why he's releasing like the best interviews and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep,
Maybe we should do that. Our best takes,
interviews.
Just with Flex.
Yep. We'll just replay old Flex ones where he's saying CP's coming to Phoenix. There you go. Well, remember to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're consuming this content. Leave us a 5-star review if you're on Apple Pods and all that fun stuff. But again, everyone, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time, either this Sunday or next.
Yeah. And everybody, you got 6 seconds to go home, see your family.
Whoa, now!